I'll
Mhm.
do the intro like this.
This shit's fire.
What is up, everybody? Welcome to another live Pin the Gas podcast on this beautiful Saturday afternoon. I hope everybody's day is filled with love, laughter, family, and proper mega willies. And I hope you guys watched the MotoGP sprint race. If you have, I won't spoil anything for you. I mean, if you have not, I won't spoil anything for you, right? But as you guys know, this episode is sponsored by Next Level Financial. Take control of your financial future. Get your complimentary financial analysis today by Seth Starnes. Highly recommend everybody do it. Yeah. So, and Owen, I tell everybody this, bro. Don't buy an off the rack suit. Why? Because for 90 to 95% of us, it's not going to fit you correctly. Owen, when you don't have a proper fitted suit, it causes all kinds of issues on the bike. Issues you don't even realize it's coming from your suit, right? So,
Mhm.
and don't waste your hard-earned money on something that's not going to fit you correctly. But what you need to do is go to bisontrack.com, start your order today on a full custom suit that's tailored to measured fit specifically for you and your body, right? You pick the colors, the patches, the logo. Mine's kangaroo. And I got the water hump in the back. Of course, it's full perforated because I don't want to sweat to death, right? Let's just be honest. And who don't love Robert and Tasha and their son Carter, right? That whole family is absolutely amazing, especially what they do for our sport, right?
Yep.
Everybody, you need to be part of the herd. All you got to do is show up to a Moto America event and walk through the paddock, and you'll see all kinds of people in bison, right?
Mhm.
Um, and just go by bison and come and meet and greet. And 9 times out of 10, you'll see this guy there too, right? Maybe that will make some of you guys turn around and run away, but don't, right? But anyway, listen, bisontrack.com, best in the business. But anyway,
Absolutely.
ladies and gentlemen, it's an absolute honor to sit down with my friend and the legend, Owen Williams. What is going on, Owen?
Nothing, man. I'm so happy to be here. Thank you.
Listen, the honor is absolutely all mine. This has been a long time coming, and I've been super excited ever since we scheduled it, and here we are, right? And it's always an honor to see at the Moto America events too, for sure. Um,
Thanks, man.
it's good, man. It's good. So listen, Owen, we got a lot to talk about. You like to talk, I like to talk, and we both love racing, right? So nice
Absolutely.
shirt, by the way. I like that shirt, man.
Thank
Um,
you.
you're
I'm
very
completely
welcome.
unbiased. These are great shirts. Little outdated on the number, but yeah, we'll get new ones this upcoming season for sure.
Absolutely, man. Looking forward to it too. Uh, listen, I want to start off on how your journey began, Owen. At what age and how did you get into motorcycles?
Well, I mean, the story's the same for a lot of racers, but all through my dad. He had a love for motorcycles ever since he was a young kid, and his parents made it pretty difficult for him to get onto them at a younger age. So I think he got his first bike when he was like 16 or something. But yeah, he's always loved mechanicking ever since then, and rode motorcycles with me when I was a little kid. Like, I remember we live in Orange County, and there's a big fair here every year or every summer, and he would ride with me on the back when I was like 5 or 6, like, and we'd ride to the fair and back. It was really lots of good memories on motorcycles for me ever since before I started riding. And then right when I was about 6 or 7, started riding with my dad out in the desert when we go to my grandparents' house a little bit. And I had a lot of fun, but my dad was, he's just trying to very gently, you know what I mean? Like get me into it. Like, that's how you are, Simcoe, with your kid, Rossi. And like, you never want to push stuff like that. And,
Yeah.
you know, growing up, I wasn't super into sports. I remember my dad, or I don't actually remember it too much, but I played soccer when I was like a very, very little kid, but I would always want to be goalie because I was scared and I'd just like sit in the goal and pick the flowers, you know what I mean? But so like when I was a younger kid, I wasn't very like, I don't know, what's the word? Maybe competitive, I guess. But as I got more and more into racing, I found a ton of fun in it. But I started when I was 7 and really started racing when I was 7.5, 8. And there's a whole group of kids my age that I was racing with. There's a story for a lot of kids, all across the country. Like you kind of have like a generation of sorts. There's levels to it, and so I raced with a lot of kids, RG Cardenas, Kenze Matsudaira, and Christian Daniel Jr., who's now racing in Spain, um, just to name a few. And but yeah, so started racing on a CRF 50, worked my way up to like a modded CRF 50. Uh, from there, it was NSR 50 in there as well, two stroke, KX 65, YZ 65. And then I think the jump from there is just straight to a Milwaukee 250. And went out to go try to race the Milwaukee at Chuckwalla at the big track here in Southern California. And they were like, we don't race GP bikes here, or they weren't like, I would have to race with the twins, or something like that. And my dad was like, all right, you're hopping on 400. And from there on, I was production racing big bikes, started on a 400, raced that for a few years. I think like it was probably my fourth year or third or fourth year of racing a 400 that I had my first Moto America season in the Junior Cup class. I started when I was 14, which meant that I couldn't do round one or two. So I started at Road America as my first race. Battled with Joe Lamandry, my very first race. That was fun. I think I got eighth, and yeah, that was huge for me. And that from then on, I just kept falling more and more in love with it. The traveling with my dad, because the thing is with me and my dad and racing, it's like our motivation, I think, initially for him, it spawned from he wanted to have a special way for us to spend time. I live between two households, and like that always makes things a little more unique, I guess, in the sense of like compared to some families. So I think having something special for me and my dad to do was really made my childhood growing up in racing a ton of fun because it was always linked with positivity. You know what I mean? There was never a time where my dad was overbearing or like like pushing me too hard or things like that. Like I think overall, like my experience with my dad as my coach, mechanic, like sponsor, like everything, like it was really great. And yeah, so worked my way up from a Ford Ninja 400, raced that for one partial season of Junior Cup, which is the first season because I missed out on the first two rounds because of my birthday falling on May 23rd, and the first two rounds are before May. And and then I had one more season of Junior Cup. That was a full season, and that time I was on at the time the Michael Gilbert team, and that was really awesome. And that was the powered by Octane Michael Gilbert team. Black and yellow bike. I was on an Alpine Star suit at the time. It was interesting. Um, Unfortunately, Michael got pretty injured that year, and and the year afterwards as well. But yeah, so after that Junior Cup season, I was starting to get older, starting to get bigger. I was, turning 16 the next Moto America season, and we made the choice that was surprising to a lot of people. Not everyone was like thought that it was the best choice, but a lot of people thought it was, which was to move up to Super Sport. Kind of bypass that Twins Cup category in there, and yeah, I think it helped me a ton in my racing for a few reasons, though. One of which is that I had no prior experience on a twin. If I were to go into twins, to move up into twins the next season, I'd be, I think, on the back foot compared to a lot of the other racers there. But I had experience on a super sport out at Chuckwalla. My amazing or close friend and sponsor Simon Barrett or let us ride his bike and race it out at Chuckwalla prior to my first, actually prior to my junior cup, my second junior cup season. I raced a ZX6 out there. It was a ton of fun. I was getting more comfortable on it. Chuckwalla is a unique track. It's not the best for training for Moto America, just because it's very different in the sense that there's no real hard braking and things like that. It's a unique place. But riding the super sport out there gave me the confidence to say like, yeah, let's do it. Let's go up to a super sport, and we made the jump. It was difficult to decide what bikes we were going to do it on, but we ended up being on the Michael Gilbert team again. This time he was the team manager, not crew chief per se, but pretty much, crew chief. And it was it was a wild ride. I learned a lot because we had a lot of new team members that season. First of all, it was just my rookie season in Super Sport, which was a whole, put a lot on my plate in the first place. But having new team members like a dedicated suspension guy, having a dedicated data person, things of that nature it was a ton of fun. It was a huge learning experience, and all I was trying to do that season was to just be a sponge. You know what I mean? Just try to absorb as much information as I could. And yeah, I learned a ton that season. And unfortunately, with Michael still recovering from some major injuries, he decided to drop out for the last few rounds of the season. And then fortunately our other rider suffered an injury off the track away from the weekend where in a while he was cycling, got hit by a car, unfortunately, broke a
Yeah.
wrist, I'm pretty sure. And so he was out. So I was kind of like the last one standing out of the original three because Michael was racing that year on that team as well. We were all in super sport. And so we had some people come on just like for one-off rounds in the last couple rounds of the season. We had Joe Lamandry on at Pittsburgh. We had Cody Wyman on at Texas, and then we had Joe Lamandry on again for New Jersey for the last round of the season, and that was really cool too. Just getting to ride with more like faces that I've seen around the paddock but haven't had like a close connection to. So that was definitely really cool experience for me, especially getting closer to Joe. Super cool guy. Um,
Bazooka
but
Joe is awesome.
yes, sir. And but yeah, so it ended up that my rookie season of Superstore was ended on a positive note. I got my best finish at the very last round of the season, and I got a ninth, no, sorry, seventh place in the rain, and that was a ton of fun. And yeah, and then we or not fast forward, but then we jumped to my second season of Supersport, technically my first full one again because of my birthday falling. I missed the first two rounds, and but this season it was my first full Supersport season, and just doing our own thing. We had the same colors from the Michael Gilbert team of the year prior, just because I think they're awesome. And yeah, we were Owen Williams Racing. We brought on a new title sponsor, which was Mental Health Center of San Diego, and that was amazing. That was a cool experience all in its own. You could really see the I didn't imagine the effect that it would have. Like, I think people would have seen it and just been like, "Oh, cool, like that's his title sponsor." But seeing spectators at the track when I'm on those hot pit walks, like come up and where we had the pamphlets, about information about MHC, and they thought it was really cool to see that in the paddock. They're like, I can't even tell you how many times people came up to me and were like, I have a family member, I have a friend that's like, you know what I mean, really is using services similar to these or is in need of services like these, so they thought that was really cool, and I thought that was really cool to see that. It was a unique sponsor in the sense of what they do, but also just yeah, they were a huge support. I couldn't have raced this year without them. And yeah, so that was how this last season was overall. It was a tough season running things on our own. We had a three-man team. It was me, my dad, and our close friend Greg Carnes. Greg helped supported me in my rookie season of Super Sport. But prior to that at Chuck Wally, he came up to me, my dad. We were friends at the time, but not like we are now. And he told me, my dad, that he wanted to support me, and the way that he could support us is that he flies for an airline, and so he has all sorts of hotel points racked up on every single hotel. And so he was like, "I want to help you guys with your hotels for the season. Just cover all of them." And so we're like, "Greg, that would be amazing." Like, what I mean? Then he's like, "I have one condition." Prior to my rookie super sports season, where like, anything, man. And he was like, "I want to come along. I want to be a part of this. I want to help you. I want to be an extra set of hands." And we're like, "That's even better." You know what I mean? And it's like Greg is such an awesome guy, and these last few seasons with him have been the best of my career. I think in terms of my, uh, I think like maturity as a racer, kind of coming in and just trying to learn my racecraft and overall become more and more consistent. My first rookie season of Super Sport was very clean. I like to use that word because we had no DNFs out of any race that whole season. And so I was still coming to terms with the bike. I don't think I was quite pushing it to the limit yet because I didn't know how to find that limit at like absolutely. But between my rookie season and my this last season, the 2024 season of Moto America, the competition level in the Super Sport class raised a ton. And I feel like uh, to people that don't know, didn't follow along the super sport like year, I like to mention that because it was it was really good in a sense. It made it a lot more difficult for me and other like of the mid pack kind of racers because all of a sudden we weren't we were having to battle with a lot of a higher grade, I think, kind of like racer. So in my rookie season of Supersport, I ended up with three top tens. I had two ninth place finishes and a seventh. And this season, we didn't have any top tens. my best finish was an 11th at Road America, and I had a couple 12ths in there, 13th, 14th, etc. But so on paper, when I tell that to people, like I like to give the context, because it's not that the finishes are important to me, but I feel like I did step up as a racer from my rookie season to my second season as super sport, even though the finishes on paper may not show that, you know what I mean? But we went faster at every track, every time that I'd show up to a Moto America weekend, I like to show up prepared, and my goal almost every single time was FP1. I want to go as fast or faster than I did the previous season, and almost every time we did that. So I think this year is very successful in a lot of ways. Me and my dad and Greg just being a three-man team, I think we did the best job in the paddock. So I'm super proud of what our team was able to accomplish this last season, and I'm really looking forward to the next one. I think uh, having more support during the race weekend and having someone else to work with, like an expert, is going to be huge for me because I'm just starting to get to the point now in my racing where I can go out on a bike, any bike, let's say it's, my bike, but the suspension, they're like, hey, go feel it out, and I'm starting to be able to diagnose things, right? So suspension wise, I can go out at Chuckwalla and like, I can tell them like, hey, my rear is coming up too much when I'm braking, or it's pumping coming out of corners and things like that. And so it's like I'm starting to understand this bike more as I ride it more and more. And I think that's just attributing a ton to my racing. So we just had first round at Chuckwalla, and that was really awesome. Seeing all the Chuckwalla people is always great. But I came out with a mindset that I really want to win. And although we didn't do that in the Super Sport Shootout on Sunday, which is like the main race, it's the one with the biggest purse. Uh, I think I'm ready to come out hitting even harder for round two when we flip the direction. Because for those who don't know, Chuckwalla Race Series runs over the winter, and because it's too hot out in the desert to race during the summer. And I think it's total of 7 rounds, if I'm not mistaken. And yeah, so every round they flip the direction of the track because it runs very smoothly both ways because there's not a ton of hard braking, and a lot of the corners are very similar in the sense that they're over on the side of the tire and you're doing double, triple apex turns, you know what I mean? Like both directions. So, uh, but yeah, Chuckwalla, I've been racing Chuckwalla since I got on a 400, so this is like, shoot, it's probably like my sixth or seventh season out here. And yeah, already having a ton of fun just after round one, racing with Brendan Kettleson, Corey Alexander, Alex Enriquez, Aldo Barbarossa, like tons of fast people that I was looking forward to racing with. And especially Corey, I battled with him at the last round of last season, and he got me because of a mistake I made. That was the first time I really struggled with arm pump, was because that last round of CVMA, I I was the fastest. I got pole for the first time, and because normally my race strategy was to kind of just get the whole shot and then try to be like the most annoying racer possible, blocking them as long as I could. And but that last round, I was finally like the fastest, and it was like, okay, shoot, now it's time to just try to go out and get away. And I couldn't. He was holding on. We were just like this the whole race, and he didn't get around me until the very end because about 3 laps to go, I started to feel my arm, just the arm pump onset, and I noticed it, and I was like, I can just push through. You know what I mean? I can make it till the checkered flag. You know what I mean? We won't have an issue, and then afterwards I can relax it. I did not make it to the checkered flag quite, and on that last lap, I just could not feel my hand at all. And so, and then Corey got around me and, got second place. And although it was a fun race, it was a cool experience, I think that one really stung to me personally, just because I didn't want that to become an issue again. Like, I didn't want to make a mistake like that again. I think it was just like an part of my, like, I guess, immaturity in a racing sense. And so, uh, whenever an issue, anywhere near that level came up again in Moto America, I made sure to pay attention to it and do everything I could to prevent it. And I worked a lot on my breathing this year. That was something physically too. But anyways, I'm talking too much. Sorry, I
No,
ramble.
you're good. No,
Kayla,
you're
Kayla,
good, bro.
Kayla tells me that all the time. But yeah. So CVMA round one was awesome. Worked with Rob Silva as well with to get the suspension dialed in from Moto America's suspension setups. And yeah, we're not 100% there yet. I think we're about like 90% there, 89% there in terms of the suspension. I went 46.0, which is only a tenth off of my fastest lap from last year or ever there around there, which was a 45.9. And so I'm super stoked that we got there right away. Like we're ready, you know what I mean? But yeah, I really want to get down to Brendan's time because Brendan kind of smoked us this last weekend. And on Sunday he pulled out some 45.5s, and so or 45.5 and then like 45.6, he did a lot of 45s, and so I think we're just trying to get down to that range now, especially Corey too. Corey is was stalking me for the entirety of that race. It felt like I just could hear that Ducati just right behind me. I'm like, oh. But I couldn't quite hold him off. I ended up getting third in the shootout. But yeah, had a ton of fun. I'm looking forward to racing with everybody out there. Hung out with Alex Enriquez a ton. I'm pretty, Alex is a close friend of mine. I'm super excited to hang out with him more every round that he's doing Chuckwalla this season. And we have one more Chuckwalla season before my Thanksgiving break at school. But where I'm planning right now to go to San Francisco, go hang out with him for over Thanksgiving break for a week. So that'll be tons of fun. But yeah, that's kind of just a wrap up of my career in general. I kind of skipped over in the beginning. Did a lot of dirt tracking, but what I mean, not motocross in particular. That was one of my mom's like rules growing up, no jumps. But which is okay. I'm cool with that. And but I started on road racing. My very first track day ever was, for most racers, it was, dirt to road. For me, it was actually kind of the opposite. My dad got me started on a 50 in a parking lot, and then we eventually got to dirt tracks through our friends. But yeah, so I did a ton of flat tracking growing up, kind of before I got on that Milwaukee. Excuse me. And yeah, then did a lot of speedway as well. I don't know if you know what speedway is, but or at least if the viewers know what speedway is, but look it up on YouTube. So it's a crazy, crazy sport. Bikes with no brakes, no shifting, and dirt track, dirt oval. We race on flat tracks pretty much, and yeah, all you got is a clutch and a gas and the ability to slide that thing, and that's all you do. You flick into the corner, you get hit on the gas harder as opposed to flat track. You're trying to hit the brake a little bit, and you literally just drift it basically throughout the whole corner. Racing is only 4 laps, so it's very fast, very intense, and very close. It's really hard to pass on speedway bikes just because of the nature of having to keep your momentum up like that. But yeah, so speedway is a ton of fun. It's a really interesting, or I like to think it's a really like unique part of my career at the beginning. I'm super glad I did it. I think we're just kind of getting out of speedway right now, though. But yeah, you know, that's basically Owen Williams' racing career in a nutshell. But yeah, you know.
I love it, dude. Awesome story, great journey, man. And I just want to touch base first. That's one thing I love about our sport is the family, because that's where it
Mhm.
starts and comes from, right? I'm a big family man, as everybody know me and meet me, and they see me all the time. I mean, my son will come in here and jump on the podcast or whatever, right? I think it's important, and what a better way to build that bond between a father and a son, or a daughter and a father and a mom too, right? Is the racetrack. It's beautiful. It's something obviously your dad always was into too as well. So what a proud dad, right? Because I know I would be. Shoot, I'm proud of you, and I'm your friend, so I can't imagine what your dad's feeling, or how he is feeling, right?
Mhm.
Um, there's nothing like it, man. There's not. I want to get to a couple of these comments real quick, and then I want to
Oh
talk
yeah.
about um
Dude, I didn't
how,
see the
how you and
comment.
Pridmore actually hooked up. And I was actually looking for so I have Pridmore's original Michael Jordan baseball card. You remember
No,
these? Look,
what?
yeah, look at that, dude. I got one signed by Pridmore Tour.
Oh, you know what? You told me about that, and then you
Yes,
said you'd show me.
yep. I told you
Oh
I'll show
my
you,
gosh.
but this is him and
I
Steve
will pay
Rapp.
top dollar for that. I don't know
Yep.
how much you're willing to part with that, but wow, that is
So
incredible.
I got some. I'll show you when we get done with this. When we schedule your second one, I'll pull them out and I'll show you too. I got doubles, dude. I'll just hook you up. You ain't got to pay for none of them. I got you. Gotcha. I know you're laughing because I seen that comment too, right?
Yeah, yeah.
I love it. So we got Brennan in the house. What is up, Brennan? I appreciate it. He says, "What is up?" Brennan's a fast up and coming legend too. He's actually
Yeah.
racing for Heart Racing, and yeah,
Oh,
he's
that's awesome.
absolutely yeah. And then we got dude, Crease's dad, John Elliott. What is up? He said, "What's
Love
up,
Crease's
Owen?
dad.
See you
What's up, John?
soon." Yeah, Crease is a legend too, man. He's absolutely awesome. Then we got my buddy from South Africa, Ray Hindi, in the house. What's up, Ray?
What's
And
up?
Matt,
I wonder if he
you
knows Cam Peterson.
he definitely knows Cam Peterson. Matt Hall. You, do you know who Matt Hall is? Have you ever met Matt?
I don't.
Okay, Matt. He races too. He's got an RC51 and races Ducatis.
Dude, that's sick.
He's
What's up, man?
awesome. Yeah. And then of course we got the legend herself. Kayla says, "Man, this guy talks a lot." That's what I was laughing at. Oh my god! And then we got Carter with the
Carter.
laughing emoji. Dude, Carter's awesome.
Carter's the best.
Elaine. Elaine says he's got a lot to say. Absolutely, he
Yeah, I don't know who
does.
that Elaine person is. Yeah.
I don't either, but you're awesome,
It's my
Elaine.
mom.
Yeah, okay. Thank you, Mom. Thank you for watching. That's awesome. He does have a lot to say, but that's the whole point of this, right?
Hi, mom.
Um, what's for dinner, Mom? I'm hungry. uh,
No, no.
Dirty Gertie man says this kid
Oh,
has
yeah.
great hair.
Yeah, that's my stepdad, Dion.
Hello, Dion. Um, and then Elaine says, "Cool team shirts. Where can I get one?"
You have like 3. You have all my old ones that are too small for me. You have every color. I'll get you one.
There you go. Right. So Matt Hall says, "Dude, I remember those." Yeah, absolutely, man. But yeah, that's one thing that I really love about our sport is first and foremost it's family. Like I said, that's where it all begins, and it grows. It brings family close. Close. It's what other activity is there better in the world to go pin the gas and twist the throttle, right? Stretch them throttle cables out. Oh man. So you've had an awesome journey to where you are in Moto America, right? Coming from club racing, getting into Moto America, it's definitely a different atmosphere. The schedule's more like a military type schedule, right? But I like the way it's ran, right? And then you got with the legend Jason Pridmore. How did you and Jason end up hooking up? And nice tribute helmet, by the way, you did for Jason, which was awesome.
Thank
What
you.
do you have it with you?
I'll go get it later. I'll go grab it later.
All right.
But yeah, so Jason Pridmore has been you have a couple people I think in everybody's racing career that whether it be through support like financially or like just informationally or like through connections or through coaching that I think are just critical and like you can point to and say like they're the reason where I'm at. Jason Pridmore is the reason I'm at where I'm at, and I'm continuing to go forward. He I like to point out about Pridmore that he has coached a lot of people. I mean, first of all, he has a coaching business, but also a lot of like youth racers. Jason has a love for racing that I can see he has his passion shows in every and he puts it into every person that he trains, every person that he tries to coach, no matter what skill level they are at, whether it be, you know what I mean, like a bright-eyed student at his in a getting coaching from him, or if it's a Moto America racer that he's close with, anybody. He all he does every single time is try to help them as much as possible. And I've never seen somebody that gives back to a community as much as he has with how he can. And what I mean by that is like his his coaching, he tries to give it to anybody and everybody, you know, even if even when I was racing 400s and it was a little more difficult for him because he didn't hadn't raced like such a small bike in a very long time and he's trying to give me specifics about a track. He Anything he said was helpful, whether I could discern, or not, whether it would apply to the 400 quite as well as he thought it would. It Everything helped. And he's crafted my race style on the big bike as it is. You know, I look back at old pictures of myself on mini bikes before I met him and before I had gotten some proper coaching. And like it was clear that I wanted to go faster, but it was also clear that I didn't there's a lot of things about me that weren't disciplined. And what I mean by that is like my body position on the bike and the way that I went about races and things like that. I don't think I had the drive that I do now before I met Pridmore. And I think there are a lot of like struggle points where like both mentally, but also just like on the bike, I would have been a lot worse off without him. You know what I mean? There to help me and like there to sort of guide me through that stuff because he has so much experience. And, it's been an absolute honor to work with him any time that, you know what I mean, he always gives me the time of day, you know? There's even with how busy he is, especially during Moto America weekends, with the fact that he has to commentate and he has to go to the media meetings in the morning and everything. Jason is one of the few people that will be out there for almost every session around the track, physically watching when he's not up in the tower, you know? Excuse me. So I don't think I can thank Pridmore enough for everything that he's done for me. But I always love to point out to anybody that is like considering his coaching, like he does not, from perspective of someone that watches him coach people of other skill levels and also how he coaches people at the very top level. Like I think the only real difference is that depending on how personable or how well he knows the person, maybe he'll say it a little more bluntly. But that is quite literally the only difference between how he coaches anybody. And so I I think especially for more up and coming racers, he he words things perfectly and he says things does his absolute best to understand like where they're at and what kind of terminology they might be able to absorb, and he did that perfectly with me, and he knows how I operate, he knows how so and so operates, he knows how someone else operates, and he can tell them things in a different way so that way it pertains to their knowledge of racing and it will actually have them do something different. You know what I mean? All you have to do I mean, this goes with any coaching. All you have to do as someone who's learning is try to just be completely open. You know what I mean? Have zero ego, and you will learn and you will improve. And yeah, just Pridmore has done anything and everything he can. Also, like just besides in a coaching from a coaching perspective, to give me connections and have me meet people. You know what I mean? Introduce me to people, and like he's all he does is talk good about me. Even when I don't think that I deserve, you know what I mean, some things that he says. And so I can't thank Jason enough. And actually, yeah, here, let me grab the helmet. I'll be
All right.
right back,
All right.
actually.
And
Gotta
yeah,
get
no,
the bike
you're
here.
good, Owen. Those listening, it's very important to have proper coaching too. It makes a huge difference in your writing, your ability, right? And just like what Owen said, you gotta be an open book, put your ego aside and be willing to listen. And look at that beauty right there. I love it.
So Jason's a big golfer,
Yes, he
as
is.
many people know, but I have I have an older version right here. This isn't my current one right now, but um another HJC helmet. Shout out Edge Designs for whipping both of these up. This is my older HJC green tea inspired helmet,
Yes.
but I really like the Arizona drinks. I have for a long time, and we looked to them for some inspiration for a helmet wrap design. I have a newer version of this one with the cherry blossoms on it, but it's kind of become my signature helmet. And when we were thinking about a new design, it's a really funny story. I love telling the story. I'll tell it again real quick. But for this helmet, this is inspired by the Arizona Arnold Palmer flavor, right? Which is it's like a silver can. I wish I had a picture, but it's like a silver can with some other accents on it, such as like this umbrella and things like that. But me and my dad were literally driving home from a Chuckwalla race one time. I think we were going to dinner, and we were like, "Oh, we should do an Arnold Palmer helmet." And then we're like we could get away with the green tea, like the cherry blossom design, or like we did a mango one before that too. We're like we could get away with those because like we're not calling it mango. We're not literally copying from the can, but we're just doing something that looks very similar, just inspired by it. But like with Arnold Palmer, his face is all over the can. It's like we don't know the guy. Like obviously that's a little harder to do. But then we're like, wait a minute, we know another old white golfer guy. You know what I mean? And so we're like, but oh, like we should do Jason Pridmore. Then we're like, but how? And then like my dad was just like, dude, you're in a photography class at school. Just tell him it's for like a photography class project. Get pictures of him, you know what I mean, doing the same poses and everything. And we did, and it was hilarious because Jason had no idea. For months, we kept it a complete secret. I did. I took all these pictures of him on the top. I'll even show you another one too, but all these pictures of him on the top are just edited slightly, but they're all taken outside the back of our garage at Chuckwalla. He's not actually on a golf course. In this one, you can see Chuckwalla. Like this is physically, we were out standing on sand and stuff. That one's unedited. But on this side, this one is also taken there, but he just edited it to look like he's on a golf course. So, dude, Sam at Edge Designs has been so awesome to work with. And his level of production and the artistry that he puts into these helmets to me is what really made this unique. We also got Jason's signature from his buddy Kolb. Shout out Kolb. But and then the rest are like off of his Instagram and stuff. But love this helmet. Love the story behind it. And we actually revealed it to him, as most of you guys know, at Road America. But the way we did it was I thought was really funny. So we uh, worked with the whole media team really at Moto America, and I told them about the helmet. I showed it to them, and I was like, like, hey, if we could just like, I didn't actually think of the whole plan. They told it to me later because I was originally planning that we would just like surprise it with him somehow, and they would get a clip, and then they'd like replay that clip during the grid or something, right? But then they're like, we have a better idea. How about we have Hannah Lopa come interview you, right? And since anytime they're going to interview somebody on grid, they have media like meetings to be like, okay, we're going to interview so and so. That way the commentators can like study and like brush up. And so there's like a plan. So Jason knew they were going to interview me, but they didn't tell them in the media meeting why they were going to interview me, just that they were going to interview me. And so Hannah Lopa comes in, it gives me a short little interview, like literally like 20-second, not even. And I say my little tidbit, and then the plan was for her to go like, I hear you have a special helmet this weekend, you know what I mean? And Jason's up in the booth, watching, and so like he has no idea, but he got a front row seat to me explaining the helmet and stuff. And so uh yeah, but shout out Sam at Edge Designs, shout out the whole Moto America media team for helping me with that. I was I was stoked for that. That was a really awesome experience. But yeah, that's the story of the Jason Pridmore Arnold Palmer helmet. Um, yeah, Edge Designs. He completely whipped this up himself. Like we basically gave almost no input. We showed him the can. He found all the pictures for everything. We also have like nutrition facts
I do
on the
too.
back.
Yeah.
But yeah, he basically made this completely himself. He wasn't actually sure if the pictures on the very top part of the helmet, because it's a sphere, if they'd get like distorted when he wraps it, because it's a vinyl wrap. But it turned out perfect. And yeah, it's been through a couple tumbles this season. You got a little bit of gravel damage, but it's whatever. I've tried to keep this thing as pretty as I can. And
I love
yeah.
it. It's a beautiful helmet. I remember we was at Road Atlanta, I think, when you was telling me about this special helmet, and you
Oh yeah.
couldn't wait to show it off that day. And I was like, I can't wait too, right? That's freaking amazing. And we got Tate up in the house from 64 Degree Racing. What is up,
Hey
Tate?
Tate, what's up, man? I haven't
Dude,
seen you
Tate's
in a hot second.
amazing, bro.
Love
And
Tate.
he says Sam is amazing. I'd love to get one of my helmets wrapped in Pendergast, but that's a whole nother thing. Yeah,
Sure,
Tate,
I'll hook you up. Let's do it.
yeah, for real. Tate, as you guys know, 64 Degree Racing, his undersuits. I had the honor and the privilege to he sent me an undersuit, all custom Pendergast out. And I say it all the time, it is by far, hands down, my favorite two-piece undersuit I've ever wore in my life. I remember when I first got it, I was walking around the house. My wife was like, what in the hell do you got on? Right? Because I'm just walking around the house in this undersuit. And I was like, it's my new undersuit. Check it out. She's like, you goofy. I was like, I know, but don't this look so good, girl? Look at this, feel it. Ooh, you can't touch this. I'm out. See ya. Right. Yeah, but yeah, so if anybody's out there looking for a two-piece undersuit, look no further than 64 Degree Racing. It's absolutely amazing products and Tate.
64 has been the best.
Yes.
As
So
long as
there
I
you
was
go.
Had them for quite a few years, you know, and I've had to wear other undersuits where I like, I don't know, forgot it at the hotel or, you know, I've had moments where I've tried other suits in the past couple of years or tried other undersuits in the past couple of years, and I genuinely just love my 64s the best, you know.
Yep.
Um, I like their designs, you know, they have a whole litany of patterns to choose from, but yeah, I have like a just I think it's just like a simple like black. It's not completely black. It's like got some like slight like, you know, like grid and like gray design on there too. But yeah, love mine.
Keep talking. Hang on.
Yeah, no, 64 has been awesome. Tate's always around at the track. Reminds me a lot of Bison too. You know, Bison. You know, you mentioned Bison always being everywhere at Moto America, but Bison's had other club races too. You know, they have a all you guys, all 64 Bison. Oh yeah, yeah,
Here's
take
my
stick.
64.
That thing's
Man,
awesome, man.
dude, I love it, dude. Yeah, it's got 64-degree racing, small all over the place. Yeah, dude. This is the XC1, and I got the pants to go with it. They're just in here.
I
So
forget the model name of mine, but
I
yes,
love them.
yes, mine is.
I tell everybody all the time, and people ask me too, what's the name of that undersuit? I'm like, bro, 64-degree racing. It's super simple to remember, right?
Yeah,
But yeah, it's absolutely. I love to show it off. But yeah, that's what my wife was making fun of me. She's like, oh God, here we go, right? I guess let's go. You got
I think I'd get made fun of if I wore my undersuit around the house, but
right. Sure. When I first got my custom suit in, I did the same thing, right? I got the
oh
suit
yeah,
on with the
you gotta do it. You gotta
gloves,
break
and
it in.
bro, I'm out there rolling around in the living room. My dog's looking at me like, "What the hell are you doing?" Right? My cats, they take off because I don't know what I got on. They're like, "What is this? Who is this creature walking through our house?" Yeah. Listen, Owen, dude, this has been a lot of fun. We're almost 45, 42 minutes into this, man. It's gone by like
Kayla was right. I talk a lot.
dude, it's all good, brother, man. It's like you have a lot to say, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. We enjoy hearing the stories, man. Um, but there's still so much more that I want to pick your brain on, but we're gonna
Yeah.
save some of that for part two for sure.
Mhm.
But I want to get into transition into what's one of my favorite part of the podcast where we get to know Owen Williams away from the track with the leathers hung up and all that, right? So I know one thing I want to start off with is you're big into, photos and editing and cutting videos and all that. How did you get into that?
Through I mean, originally it was kinda through my dad, but I mean, it was high school. So my high school, I go to Wilson High School in Long Beach, and, I'm still an in-person, even though I race, you know, which has been a unique challenge of mine too, trying to juggle, you know? Uh, I think balance is the wrong word. I like juggle more. It kinda captures how chaotic it is sometimes. But, yeah, you know, um, when I got into this high school my sophomore year because freshman year we did do like an online program, but at that point that was my third year of doing online school because of COVID, and I was like, man, I have no social skills. I need to be around kids my age, and so sophomore year was really like my first year of high school, and yeah, got into there's a photo video program at my high school, which you know you can be in from freshman to senior, and there's one teacher, and yeah, but it's a photo video class. So we learn basics of photography, basics of like videography, but then we learn basically the whole process of how to create and produce anything, whether it be, you know, podcasts. So we learned how to work with audio a ton, whether it be videos. We're learning with Premiere Pro. We have what's called a Creative Cloud account from the school, which is an Adobe thing, which captures all the Adobe softwares. So Premiere Pro, Photoshop, Lightroom, you know, After Effects, all those, like I get to use them for free. So that's been a huge motivator for me, is because that's a tool that a lot of people don't have uh, usage of because it's very expensive. So I'm very lucky to have that from my school, you know, for because you can use it at home for personal stuff too. So I think that was part of it, is it sparked my creativity because I'm like, shoot, I got all this stuff, like I better use it. You know what I mean? Um, Another thing is my dad. My dad is a photographer. You know, not a ton of people know that, but he used to be a sports photographer at one point. He went to school for it. He's a snowboard photographer. Uh, but yeah, he loves photography and like, you know, videography and stuff like that. You know, he always has, and so that's always been a part of, you know what I mean, my life. You know, like subtly in the background. You know, we have pictures in my closet right now too that are you know, taken by him and stuff. And yeah, but I love photography. I kind of always have, you know. I just started taking pictures on my phone probably like first year of junior cup back in like 2021, 22, and just taking pictures of like sunsets and like random things and then I feel like I've started to get more developed with my photos, and I want to give a huge shout out to Karen Ott, close friend of ours. She has been shooting photos of me at the racetrack ever since I started pretty much, and she gives all the kids free photos, and so she gives back to her community. Amazing person, amazing photographer. Karen is the best, and yeah, so Karen, who we've been connected with my whole career in racing, but she's also comes out to some of the Moto America rounds. Uh, this season, I think it was Road Atlanta. Yeah, Road Atlanta. She heard it was my birthday between like round one and two, like, and she was like, "I just bought this camera from Gray Fam," and for those who don't know who Gray Fam is, another close friend of ours, or not close friend, another friend of ours, super awesome videographer. I've been following him as he does stuff in Europe,
Me
but
too.
yeah, amazing videographer. I I think he's the best, I think, in the world right now in terms of his style. He's mastered it, and his production level is really good. I love what he does. But Gray was an ex-racer. He raced in like what was the predecessor to Junior Cup, which is the RC390 Cup, back when they were all KTM's, and so he has a background in racing too. But Gray Fam's old camera that he used to make videos, he was selling it, and Karen bought it, and then she heard it was my birthday, and she was like, "Oh, and why don't I just give it to you?" And I was like, "Karen, that would be probably like the coolest gift I've gotten in a very, very, very long time," because I was just using my phone before that, and I would have loved the camera, especially one of that high quality, and so I was stoked. And Laguna was the first round that I finally had all the parts needed for it, because I actually she gave it to me at the Ridge, but I didn't get a SIM card for it, and so then her Karen being awesome gave me two SIM cards to use for it at Laguna, and Laguna I made a little, well, I'd like to say that I made a little vlog, but I still haven't gotten around to finishing it just because I've made other videos since then. But I made a trailer for that vlog, that is on my Instagram. If you I want I think it's cool. I think everybody should check it out. But it's basically just the trailer is just a collection of some clips, with some music in the background. But very simple edit. But camera's really nice, high quality. It's a Panasonic Lumix GH5S, and yeah, to be using Gray's old camera given to me by Karen, it's cool. It has some character behind it, and yeah, I've been using it to shoot photos ever since, and at taking pictures of friends, you know what I mean, like wherever I am, like off the track, but also at the track, taking pictures of my buddies, Carter, Kayla, Alex, things like that, and yeah, I've had a ton of fun using it, and I only want to get better. I'm really interested in photography and videography and things like that. I want to start making films. I already have a few ideas for some, and I'm starting to make more friends that are better than me at photo video stuff at school in my photo video class, and so I really look forward to making some stuff with them. And yeah, but overall, I made a few edits of some of my fellow racers. I made one of Jaden and Juliana Fernandez. I made one for each of them. The more recent one was Juliana,
You
and
did that at Jersey, right? You,
so
you
I
was doing
did
that at Jersey.
I did the Juliana one at Jersey,
Okay.
and the Jaden one was from Ohio. And yeah, so that was a ton of fun making those. Working on one for Alex Enriquez right now. Uh, Again, my with the lens that I currently have, it's a 45 millimeter fixed lens, but what that means is since it's fixed, I can't zoom, and so it's a unique challenge, trying to only have one angle zoom like angle, trying to get both shots of them on the grid, but also, shots of them on the track. So I wouldn't say that my track shots are very good as of right now, because I'm not close to the track, and like also the fixed lens makes it pretty difficult. But I really like the other clips that I've shot. I just shot a little clip of Joe Lamandry at Jersey on the grid the other day, and yeah, he shared that one to his Instagram too. But yeah, I'm super like if for whatever reason I wasn't racing, I would love to be a videographer, you know, whether it be in racing or something else. Like I'm super interested in it. And yeah, I love it. It's given me a unique perspective too. Like I'm really into movies, or I have been as of like the last like year. I've you know, I've watched some of my favorite movies all within like the last 2 years. And working with photo video and learning about the basics of like filming and stuff like that in my photo video class, which is also kind of a film class, like because right now it's what we're doing is we're making films. Um, Learning that whole process is giving me like a cool, unique perspective. Whenever I watch movies, I'm like, that was cool what they did right there. Like I bet most people didn't know that or notice that. You know what I mean? Or like how like I don't even know how they set that up. You know? So like I'm kind of a nerd about that stuff. I've been like watching like YouTube videos of like the behind the scenes, just trying to like see the process, you know? Um, yeah, but I love photo video. I'm just getting more and more into it. But yeah, I guess the cool part about it for me is just that um I'm in a I'm in a unique situation because of my traveling for the racing and also my luck I've gotten with getting the equipment, you know, being gifted the camera and all the stuff required, like the software and stuff from my school. Like I haven't had to put a lot into it, and I'm getting as much as I can out of it, you know. So I think that's part of the motivation for me is just that like I want to take advantage of this, you know, unique opportunity from it. Um, but yeah, check out all my edits that I've made and posted on my racing account, but also Jaden and Juliana's account. And yeah, yeah, check them out, guys. You know,
Yeah, dude. You were showing me some of the transitions on the videos you did on your cell phone there. That was absolutely amazing, and we actually had a decent conversation about all that because it's something that it's always amazed me too. And like when the podcast first started, you know, we used to. I tried to figure out all the editing stuff and all that. Man, what a pain in the ass! I ain't gonna lie, right? Because the reason why I say is most stock editing programs that come with like StreamYard or Podbean or whatever, you're only allowed to do so much to it, you know.
yeah,
Um, and that's why I was like, you know, if we just do them live, we ain't got I don't have no editing to do, right? Which is
yep,
huge for me, right? It gives me
yeah,
more time to spend, but it's something that me too, Owen. I've always been interested because when I see cool videos out there, I'm like, bro, how they do that? Because that is
hmm
awesome, you know. And that inspired me to do CapCut. So I've been learning CapCut. I downloaded
hmm
CapCut and I made my favorite video I made. I put it on Facebook too and my Instagram. You guys go check it out. But it's at Cadwell Park. I did the Riders on the Storm from the Door song, and they're coming out of the kink where everybody's just going up over the mountain jump and it slows down. Right. And
hmm
then when the last rider's coming, it speeds back up again. It was just, yeah, dude, this is the coolest video I ever make. But it was fairly simple because CapCut's kind of a cheap thing where the way you do it's really in depth. You're there, you're cutting and chopping and
I mean, I made stuff on CapCut way before I like got like more into using Premiere Pro for video editing. And like again, I'm very basic with Premiere Pro. I'm not super knowledgeable on it quite yet. Because in my class we go over how to do certain things. I remember some of them, but it's all very basic. And so like YouTube is the absolute best thing that you could do, whether it be for photo video, like just for how to shoot better or how to take better pictures or you know, looking if you're like, oh man, like I don't know what, like I want to get into photography, but I don't know what I would shoot. You know what I mean? People have made that stuff up like online. It's like it's an art. Have you ever heard of this is like an artist's thing, like a draw, like people who draw, but have you ever heard of Inktober? No.
Inktober. I think so.
It's this like online Instagram thing where like just anybody like artists can like it's like it gives you a prompt for every day. You know what I mean? Like you draw something different every day. And like I found similar things for like photography. It's like, oh, like, you know, post a picture of this that you got or like post a picture of that. And it's like I love photography because I feel like there's never it's the art of making something, whether it be uninteresting or not, interesting looking, you know? And you can do that with, I feel like so many things around you, you know? So like I like to talk about my traveling and how it's given me an opportunity to take cool pictures of like cool like places or things. But you know, what I mean, you don't need to do that in order to like work on your like skill, and like that's why I like photography is because it's an art to me. It's I guess therapeutic isn't the word, but it's like it's relaxing to me in a way that's like I guess like motorcycling can be stressful. It's like it's but it's still working on like a craft. It's still refining a craft, you know? So like I only want to get better, I only want to get more refined with it. But yeah, so thinking about making a separate account for my photography and videography too. Um, that'll probably be something I do over this winter rather than just posting it on my racing account. But yeah, I'm just looking forward to making more stuff. I like it. It's a hobby of mine right now. But yeah, yeah.
I can see it's not only a hobby, it's a passion, Owen. Let's just be honest, right? Like, yeah, it's absolute passion, which is good. I think it's magnificent and that you have another passion outside of motorcycles too as well, right? So you got something that you can practice on and something to fall back on, right? Whether, like you said, you stay in the sport, because I know you want to give back to the sport too eventually, right? And photography, what a way to do it, making videos. It's yeah, man, it's awesome. And I tell you, drawings too, artistry, the whole world's a beautiful place, right? So, like you said, there's ample opportunities every day to
Hmm.
put pieces of so you're taking photographies and building this picture through your lens, right? And
Hmm.
I think it's a beautiful thing too, Owen, because you have those pictures when people see them, they just draw you in. Like you feel like you're there. You feel like you could smell that flower or see that plane go through the sky or whatever it is, right?
Hmm.
I think it's important in art too. Elisa's a good drawer too, don't you?
I didn't know that.
Dude, so Elisa, I had her on my podcast, and her dad actually sent me some photos of her drawings. I don't know if I could show this one, but she drew this.
Oh wow,
Dude, look at that,
that's
man.
crazy. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's sick.
This is one I guess she's still working on.
That's sick.
Yeah, so she
That's so cool.
is
I didn't know that.
yeah, so there you go. Here's another one right here.
That's so cool, man.
It's
Reminds me of an
awesome.
album cover I saw the other day.
It does, man. I like the colors. Again, that this art right here, when you look at it, there's something that it just speaks to you in a certain way, right? Now,
Yeah,
everybody will look at the same picture and get something different from it, right? And that's okay. That's what makes us individuals.
yeah,
But yeah, it's absolutely amazing. I like to see my friends have a proper mega skill outside of racing, right? And something that you're deeply passionate about. Again, it's very important.
yeah. No, I
Absolutely.
mean, I love it. It's cool for me because, as like a teenager that's my age, like, involved in a sport, what I mean, I got a lot on my plate to think about, like schooling and stuff like that. Like, I think it's cool to have something that's kind of completely separate from that, that like, I guess it takes up some of my time. So I guess you could say it like contributes to like, how everything on my plate, but like to me it doesn't. Like I enjoy it so much right now and I enjoy working on it that it's like it makes me feel good because it's like I feel like it's self-improvement in a way. It's like working towards a goal, but it's like I'm not too like worried about it. You know what I mean? Like it's just for me, and I want to put it out there in case other people think it's cool. But and at the end of the day, it's just for me. It's just for my love of it.
Yeah, I love it, man. I absolutely love it, dude. I fully support it. Can't wait to see some more of your work for sure.
Thanks, man.
So speaking of movies, man, you said you've been watching a lot of movies.
Oh yeah.
So tell us your what movies do you recommend for the viewers listening?
Well, I got a couple, but let me start by saying like they're all of like a similar, not all, but some of them are of a similar genre. So, uh, I don't know if you've seen the Blade Runner movies. There's
Mhm.
two of them because there's the original one, and I haven't actually seen that one, but I saw the more recent one. It's called Blade Runner. Oh God, was it
I can't remember. Yeah,
2077?
I
It
can't
was the
remember.
newer one. Oh
Yeah.
man, I'm forgetting the name of it already, but it's Blade Runner. And it's starring Ryan Gosling, but featuring a lot of other prominent actors. I think it's one of my favorite sci-fi movies of all time. I grew up with Star Wars. I mean, we talked about that with Rist and Greg at Jersey, but we're big Star Wars fans over here. Me and my dad, and yeah, so I've always been into like some nerdy stuff, I guess. But sci-fi in particular, Blade Runner is just it's one of my favorite movies of all time. I think it's very immersive, especially for the time because it came out in like 2017 or like 2018 or something like that. And so like for the time, like the CGI and like the world building and it's a little bit on the slower side. You know, it's not an action movie at all. And I mean, what it really is, it's kind of like a detective movie, but you know, because it's like it's a mystery. They're trying to figure something out. But I won't spoil it. It's amazing sci-fi movie, beautifully shot. Uh, I love it. It's one of my favorites of all time. Drive, which is another Ryan Gosling movie I saw in like the last couple of years. I don't know if you've seen that one.
Yep, I
Oh
have.
yeah,
It's a good movie.
yeah, love that movie. My favorite one, probably as of right now, has to be the 2022 Batman. I don't know if you've seen that one.
Hmm. I have.
Yeah, I loved that movie for a couple reasons, but like I just rewatched it. Uh, me and my dad and my stepmom are in the middle of watching it right now. Like we watched part of it last night, but we were we were falling asleep. But I rewatched it with my mom the other day just because it's kind of a Halloween movie. At least for me and my mom, we've rewatched it like the last couple Halloweens. But it's from a cinematography standpoint, it's one of the more beautiful movies I've ever seen, and I think the world building, because you know Batman, it's set in Gotham. Like anytime I look at any of the other older Batmans after watching this one, they just look like Chicago or like you know like another city, and I feel like there's kind of a disconnect there where like you know they're trying to build a Batman, and I feel like they worry a lot about the character and less about how the city is like alive. It is its own character. You know what I mean? And yeah, I again, I've been a huge nerd about this movie. I'm watching YouTube videos all the time, but I think the acting was great. I think the key one was uh oh man, Paul Dano. Is that his name? Yeah, Paul Dano or Robert Dano. I forget the name. Last name Dano. Plays the main villain. He does an amazing job. Also Colin Farrell as the Penguin in that movie. Does an amazing job. It's like I had no idea he was even Scottish. In real life, he's Scottish, but in the movie, he plays a perfect New York mob like gangster type villain. Like it's I mean it's almost comedic in some ways because of just like how good his acting is, and he plays the character so well. But beautiful movie from a cinematography standpoint. I love the story, and again, it's a detective movie, but it's filled with a lot of action as well. But like action that's meaningful. You know, I don't. It's not just Batman punching guys just to punch guys. You know, I feel like it was a really well done movie.
That's the one with Robert Pattinson, right?
Yes,
Yes. All right.
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. I've seen it for sure.
yeah,
Listen, I like that movie too. The only gripe that I do have about that movie is,
hmm
man, they played the same music almost the whole entire music. Like every time you seen Batman, it was that dark dun dun. I'm like, dude,
yeah. I
you know what
mean,
I'm saying? That
yeah,
to me, but that's the only downfall of that movie. But you're right. The
yeah,
you can't have Batman outside of Gotham. Gotham is Batman too, right? So you got to have
yeah.
that.
Uh, and then something else that was cool about it was well, one of the main songs from that movie, if you guys haven't seen it, is "Something in the Way" by Nirvana, and
It's a great song.
they something I didn't notice until the rewatches is that there's times in which that theme that or whether it be that Nirvana song or there's another song, I forget the name of it, but it's like a classical. It's the one that goes like da 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 da.
Yeah.
It's like an old song. Those two songs, the Nirvana one and the classical one, you'll hear in different keys or like just slightly different like tones in other scenes throughout the movie where it's very subtle. And so like I didn't notice that until later, but I don't know. I think that movie, Blade Runner, like Drive, they're all of a similar style in the sense that I feel like they're very well thought out movies. I didn't there was never a time where I was like bored because like I felt like the story was that good, and then like I fell in love with them from a cinematography standpoint because like I appreciate them so much because I think they're really well done. But anyways, if you guys haven't seen them, go watch the 2022 Batman. It's on HBO, and I forget what Blade Runner's on, and I forget what Drive's on, but those are probably my top three right now. Uh, but I don't know. I really like those movies. Yeah, I'm a huge nerd.
Yeah, me too. I'm a nerd with sci-fi and all that stuff too. I think Blade Runner, you're right. I think it's I forget. I've been racking my brain of what it's the Blade Runner 2070, whatever it is.
2077.
Yeah, it was one of those movies that was ahead of its day, kind of like when the first Matrix come out, right?
Mhm,
When I remember when I seen the first Matrix, I was like, "What is this?" Like, holy, you know what I mean?
mhm.
Just the way they did it, and the whole nine. It was such a beautiful a movie for sure. Um, so Tate actually says, Owen, have you watched the series The Expansive yet? Love it.
The Expanse, no, I
Yeah,
haven't.
I haven't either. I need to check it out. Where's that at Tate? Like Netflix or anything like that? And then of course we got the legend
The
Brendan
ex
says Owen is
okay.
cool.
The
The
Expanse,
Expense.
2015. I'm
I
Googling
haven't
it right
seen
now.
it neither.
I'll check it out for sure. I love sci-fi stuff.
All right, hang on. I got Gabriel just text me. He says, "Can we do a test run real quick?" I'm like, "For sure, bro. I'm on a podcast right now. Just give me a few minutes and we can run it up." Oh, love it. I'm almost done.
Oh,
Okay.
yeah, Matt, with super sport being expensive, for sure. I mean,
Yeah.
that's it's the hardest part, I think, in racing is that it's a sport that takes many years to develop your own skill in or develop find a team or people around you that like become more and more experienced. Because that's the thing too is like me and my dad have grown at a very similar rate in the sense that like our racing has matured and become more developed, but my dad's understanding of the logistics of everything that is involved in racing because he's my main mechanic. So he's my main mechanic. He's the flight booker, he's or the driver or things like that, you know, and so it's only gotten more complex as you get to bigger and bigger bikes, but, his knowledge of how the Moto America weekend runs, how the team operation runs, you know what I mean? Like, he could crew chief a junior cup team like nobody's business right now if he wanted to, you know, but it's I think it's cool. It's like he's also my dad's kind of a I like to call him an opportunist because he any time that there is a way for us to uh save funds in a strategic way so that way I can do racing, you know what I mean? He takes it and he finds ways. Like I mean, even at the very beginning, like when before, you know, I ever got on bison suits or before I was even wearing an Alpine Star, uh when I was a kid, there was no kids racing suits available. Like the only company that he could find was this Spanish, really small Spanish company called RPM. And we suggested RPM suits to all the other kids and basically every other racer, like, you know, Christian Daniel was in one, Kenzie was in one, you know, all of us were in them to the point where RPM messaged him, was like, "Hey, do you want to be our US rep?" And my dad was like, sure. And so like my dad, like, you know, knows like how to design suits pretty well, like already because he had many years where he was doing that for other kids, helping them like, you know, pick colors and stuff like that, and like just design them on Photoshop, you know, just with the pen tool and stuff. But anytime that there's a way for my dad to again save funds, you know, he'll take it. The other way that I like to mention is we had to race 400s for years. And so instead of doing what a lot of the dads did and just like, you know, kind of like just do what was needed for us to race and then like get a mechanic or get somebody to help us, my dad expanded on his own knowledge of the mechanics to the point where he is so familiar with the 400s now because he did all of my servicing for the bikes. He did almost everything for years. And he took that knowledge and he was able to turn it into extra money on the side by building people or putting together bikes. You know what I mean? Whether like in a simple way, of course, he's not, you know, he's not a machinist, but um, you know, he his knowledge has expanded just as much as mine, and so like I you know I trust him absolutely with anything. Like anybody that knows my dad and even just a piece of what he does knows that he's one of the hardest working people in the paddock, and I can't thank him enough for everything I do. That's one of my biggest motivations is that I have people around me that work as hard or harder than I do, and so all it does is push me to be the absolute best that I can out there on track. So
I
yeah.
love it. I love it, Owen. It's listen, you and your dad are super tight, and I love it. It's just like me and my boy. It's I'm at the point with my son when he first got here in this world, but if Rossi can't go, I won't go. Right? Yeah, tonight I got an adult Halloween party. It's 7 houses down the street, but him where his best friend lives, but his best friend and Rossi are going to stay at my mom's house, right? But other than that, if Rossi can't go, I just don't go because I'd rather sit at home and play Lego, build Legos with Rossi, right? Because you guys know he's into the butterfly. Which, by the way, Kayla, if you're still listening, he's in making your butterfly knife right now. Yep, there you go. Right, so we have that same one. So we're big Lego nerds too as well. So we're doing that, and of course, the normal Fortnite and all that snazzy jazz, or watching Star Wars or whatever on TV. It's I'd rather do that than anything else in my life, to be honest with you. I think
Yeah, man.
it's very important, man. And yeah, listen, oh dude, this has been fun. Dude, I got so much more to ask, bro, but we're definitely running out of time. I got to get ready for my second podcast, and I got to go to this
Do it,
Halloween
man.
party and all that stuff. But listen, we're definitely going to schedule part two as soon as I end this video. Just down with me for a minute. We'll go ahead and schedule that. I'm gonna save the rest of the questions for our next podcast.
Of
But
course.
yeah, this has been an absolute honor, dude. Owen,
No,
absolute
it's
honor.
honor is all mine, man. Thank you to everybody that came in and watched in the chat. You know, that's awesome. I love your guys' questions. Can't wait for part two, Simcoe. Thanks for having me on. Shout out to all my sponsors and supporters. I can't wait for the second one. I love talking with you guys. If any chance for you guys to get me on a more personable level, I love it. And yeah.
Yeah, I love it, man. Listen, thanks everybody that watches this. If you guys have not had a chance, please go to my YouTube channel, my Podbean, and like and subscribe, Spotify, all that good stuff. I've been having trouble real quick with Spotify. If you go to Spotify and you look up Pin the Gas, it'll
Yeah.
only show like 98 episodes. I got
Oh,
200.
really?
You're my 271 episode.
Yeah.
Okay, so if you go to Podbean, which is free, and you Pin the
Hmm.
Gas podcast, you can watch all the episodes. So
Perfect.
it's something that I'm emailing back and forth with Spotify. I don't know what the deal is, but
Yeah.
I'll figure that out, right? But anyway, this has been a whole lot of fun. It's been an absolute honor. I know I keep saying that because it is, Owen. I loved your story. It's amazing. Everybody's got their own beautiful story. Yeah, you're right at the beginning. A lot of kids get involved in two wheels basically the same way. It's either a dad or it's hardly ever the mom. Let's just be honest, right? It's either the dad or a grandpa or an uncle that gets the kid in the sport, and then the dirt bikes and flat track and transition to road racing. But still, every kid's got his own unique journey on how they got there, right?
Mhm.
Meaning what bikes they were on, what they took away from it, how they grown and evolved to where you are today. That type of thing. I always consider road racing, and basically the whole journey of life is like a tree, right? You start off with one branch coming out of the ground, and then all of a sudden it starts branching off. There's so many different paths you could take to get into road race or photography or wherever, right? So it's and one thing it's my mom always says it takes a village to raise a kid, right? I didn't understand that until I had my kid. But you can apply that to a road racer. It takes a village to raise one road racer, right? Such
Yeah.
as
I
you,
mean,
meaning, yeah,
my dad, you know what I mean? Like I've talked about him, you know what I mean, a ton on this podcast, but my mom has shaped me and my racing just as much in completely different and unique ways. I
yeah,
mean, everybody around me in my family, I have a pretty small family, I'd say. I really just, my mom, my stepdad, my dad, my stepmom, and my grandpa Maka. Uh, you know, but my family has completely shaped me as a person, and whether that's directly through racing or not, it has affected my racing, you know what I mean? My mom has affected who I am, you know what I mean? And having 2 loving parents and having supportive family members around me has been critical, and to this and to all of my passions, you know what I mean? Like, to the photo video stuff and, like, to being open to new experiences and you know what I mean? Like anything about Owen is comes from somebody else, you know what I mean? In my formative years, So
yeah.
like I love all my family and everyone has shaped me to be who I am, you know what I mean? So I I can only give gratitude, you know what I mean, to anybody who's shown me love, because you've shaped who I am. So
100%. I feel the same, man. We're very fortunate in this short lifetime to be so close to our families, because there's so many times you hear I got friends that they don't ever talk to their parents at all. And I'm like, dude, why don't you spend no time with your family, right? It's like whatever the reason is, I think a hugely missed opportunity, right? Because at the end of the day, your family is basically all you got, right? I'm not talking about
Yeah.
friends. That's not what I'm talking about, Owen, right? We got those, but I'm just saying there 24/7, 365 days a week is your mom and your dad and your brother, your sister, or whoever family you're close to. It's very important to have that. Um, but yeah, so this episode will be out on Spotify and all that good stuff tomorrow. I'll tag you in the
Awesome.
link
I
and
can't
I'll
wait.
send it
Can't
to
wait
you
to
and all
share it
that
with
good stuff.
everyone.
Me too, man. Owen, it's been an absolute honor. And yeah, so last thing I'm gonna say before we get off here, Owen, tell all the young up and coming kids and children that wants to get into road racing, what advice do you give to them?
Don't stop, but don't let anyone tell you, you know what I mean, any different from what you want to do. I'm very lucky to have a life outside of racing as well as inside of it. And I think that, there are times where I've felt at like a young or when I was in a harder spot in my career where I thought like if I stop racing, like I let people down. And it's like whatever you do, it has to be you have to do it with 100% confidence. And what I mean by that is you know, you are who you are and no one's gonna appreciate you or love you any less, for not doing it. And so, you know, uh 'cause, I've seen people, like, especially, like, the younger group, you know what I mean, like, stop racing for one reason or another, and it's like, it's not that that's necessarily a bad thing, but it's just like, uh, if you're not true to yourself, then, like, what else can you do? So, I love racing and, to up and coming racers, you know what I mean? Like, you I love that you guys love it, and, all I wanna do and all anyone should do in our community is to help and support them, So, uh don't stop what you're doing. Have a ton of fun doing it, most importantly. I know it's cliche, everybody says that, but it's really true. If you're not having fun, you know what I mean? Like, I'm having a ton of fun, and that's why I'm doing it. I'm doing it for the love of the sport. So, uh, yeah, thanks for having me on the podcast, and, yeah, we'll see you guys later.
Absolutely. And on that note, ladies and gentlemen, it's been an absolute honor today to sit down with the legend himself, Owen Williams. Stay tuned for part two.
See you guys.